1970 music review. This is number 2 in my top 5 of that year, uh, and it's Deja Vu by Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Um, this album has had a mixed response from critics over the years. Most of them fell in love with it, but some were rather critical of it being a sort of hippie sort of paradise type movie with not really a band, but more a collection of 4 individuals offering their particular songs in a mishmash, and that they weren't really a band at all. Well, I think that's a bit harsh. Certainly, the arrival of Young changed the focus from what initially seemed to be a harmonies type soft pop band, but nevertheless, the 10 cuts on here are worthy of most albums. And as I usually do in this forum, I like to go through the tracks one by one. So let's get started with side 1, track 1, Carry On. Steve Stills song, of course. Great solo from Steve on here, and the harmonies are already at the forefront, getting you tapping your feet. There's also a lovely a cappella lead which drives into the organ, which is reminiscent of Wooden Ships from the first album. Although at times it seems to go on a bit, it's a very, very competent start. Next up is Teacher's Children, the first of 2 Nash songs. Nash's songs are more sort of pop bubblegum style, softer, with certainly a sort of Beatles style influence. There's some nice country guitar on Teacher's Children, which enables Nash's lyric to come to the fore. Up next, track 3, David Crosby's Almost Cut My Hair, which is very much an anthem for the hippie and the image of the long hair, and that it's sacrosanct. There's a dazzling guitar interplay between Stills and Young on this track, and Young really does open his shoulders. Track 4 is Young's composition Helpless. It's a long time live cut for Young when he's out on the road. No surprises really. Last track on side 1 is the Joni Mitchell cover Woodstock, and it's probably my favourite and one of the strongest songs on the album. It's a powerful rock and roll number, great vocals from Stills, and some lush harmonies and chunky rhythms from Neil before he blisteringly gets to work on the frets for his typical solo. To side 2 then, and the title track starts us off. Now, Deja Vu, of course, was a phrase that was given added attention through the 70s as a cliche for let's do it all over again, or we've heard all this before. It starts off with a fascinating acoustic shuffle intro, and then the harmonica slides in with Crosby's drug-like lyrics. The nice harmonies throughout, and Steve Stills chips in with a nice liquid solo before the chorus, the chanting chorus, reminds us how trendy it was to describe things as deja vu. Up next is Our House, jaunty piano-driven Beatley song written by Nash, of course, reminiscent of his Hollies days. It's beautifully delivered, but albeit the lyric is somewhat cheesy and corny. Track 8, track 3 on side 2, is the Steve Stills acoustic blues, which is a reminder of his youth and how now he's become that much more experienced, and solitude has become more of an issue. And it's a moody piece, but some beautiful picking guitar from Stephen. Track 9 is Young Again, Country Girl. It's a commanding song that inspires with the mellotron church-like anthemic sound. It's a bit of a tour de force. And then finally, wrapping it all up, is a rousing rocker, Everybody I Love You, which is a sort of thank you to the hippie fraternity that took on board this short-lived supergroup and bought this album in tons. There were other albums after this one by the foursome, but they were all very much a hodgepodge, really, as they all had separate projects that were much more of a priority. So anyway, number 2 in my top albums for 1970, and as part of my top 5, this is the second one. Okay, that's my my music review for Deja Vu by Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.